So are we starting?
Yeah,
now?
we
Okay,
started.
great. Amazing. Hi, my name is Nithya Raman. I'm a council member in the city of Los Angeles in Council District 4, and I'm running for mayor.
You are running for mayor of, is LA technically the second largest city in the country?
Yes.
That's a lot.
Yes.
No, what prompted you to want that job?
Yeah, this is a very, very tough city to govern, but
Yeah.
it does need governing and it needs vision. There are real challenges that the city is facing right now. Our spiraling housing costs, which are driving families out of the city, our homelessness crisis, which we're spending extraordinary amounts of money on and just making very little progress. There are big issues and an Olympics coming up ahead.
Oh,
and
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, you just reminded me how bad traffic is going to be.
Well, maybe not. Not if we plan it right.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, all that sounds really, really great. I'm not from Los Angeles. Is anybody from Los Angeles?
I'm not from Los Angeles.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it is one of those cities that you just come to and you just fall in love with. And that is exactly what happened to me.
Yes.
Literally fell in love with California, with Los Angeles before I fell in love with my husband who dragged me back here years later. You know what I mean? But it is my home now. And I've been here on and off for the last 15 years. I love Los Angeles so much. But girl's got some problems.
Yeah.
And I am one of the, when you just said, like, you struck a chord with me when you're like driving families away. And I don't want to be one of those families.
Yes.
And I know so many of my friends don't want to either. But talk to me about why this is such a difficult place. And also, like, what drew you here to the first place? Because it is hard, but I'm not leaving.
Yeah, well, I think Los Angeles is incredibly magical.
Yeah,
like it
really
has a spirit
is.
to me that this city has a spirit that I don't think any other city in America has. It is truly a city of dreamers. Like people can come here. People are invited to dream big here, whatever their dream may be. I'm not just talking about the entertainment industry. It's anyone who is coming here can rethink themselves and rethink their ambitions here in a way that I think no other city in the world invites you to do. You know, I feel like this is a place of opportunity like no other, and it invites you to take advantage of opportunity. But the cost of housing right now is so high that it is becoming less and less the Los Angeles dream that inspires me, that makes me so animated to work for this city.
Yeah. I feel like right now what the situation that we're in is like, yeah, you come to Los Angeles to dream, but it's somewhere along the way, you had to trade kind of the other dreams, the American dreams, like the housing, a family. Like I don't have a kid because I have one bedroom. And that's pretty much what I can afford. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I'm like, so many people are in the same boat as my family is. But yeah, so this is a beautiful city of dreams. But at what cost then? And I think that's what you want to hopefully work on.
Yes.
All right. So what did bring you to LA though? You dreamed big. You're an immigrant.
Yes.
You went to Harvard.
Yes.
You went to MIT.
I did.
You're acting so humble. If I went to Harvard, I would literally wear like a pin that said Harvard grad. Look, Mom, I'm smart. But then what brought you out here?
So my husband works in the entertainment industry. He's a writer. And so he moved out to Los Angeles and I followed him.
Oh, I know that story.
And it took me a little bit to get used to this city and to understand how it works. But like you, once I learned more about it, once I kind of opened my eyes to what the city was, I feel like I fell so hard in love with it and haven't stopped loving it.
It's really hard not to fall in love with Los
Yes.
Angeles until you're sitting on the 405 for like 3 hours.
Well, we can fix that.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
you keep saying this, so I might as well just let you say it. What can we do to fix the 405? I know they're working on paving the roads because I sat in that traffic yesterday. But what can we do to make it better?
So we have there's a planned train, which I was the biggest advocate for, that was being discussed, and now it's actually been moving forward, called the Sepulveda Transit Corridor.
Is it going to go like right down the middle of the 405?
It's not going to go down the middle of the 405. It's going to go through another pathway across the Sepulveda Pass, but it is going to provide you a real alternative to taking the 405. It's going to get you from the valley to the west side in 15 minutes or even less, depending on. Yes.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yes. Yeah. And it's a really, really exciting investment. It's going to happen. We have to figure out the funding for it.
Right.
We have some from Measure M, We need to, secure additional dollars and figure out innovative financing mechanisms to move it forward. But to me, this kind of investment is how you can really transform Los Angeles and to really rethink how we can get around this city. And it's one of those things where I have big dreams for how we can rethink how we get around Los Angeles.
I mean, I guess LA does need a dreamer, huh?
Yes.
I mean, how many songs talk about California dreaming?
Yes.
So, but you are a dreamer, but you're a planner first.
That's right.
An urban planner?
That's right.
Okay. You're going to have to explain to me what that does. Because for me, an urban planner, this is going to sound so stupid, but like I played The Sims when I was a kid.
Okay.
And like I planned my little cities.
Right.
And I planned my zoo and stuff like that. And so my silly brain, like I know it's way more than that. So what exactly does a city or urban planner do?
Well, urban planning can take on a variety of forms, but I think at its most essential, what I feel like I understand about Los Angeles is how land use drives how we think and feel and move around this city, right?
When you say like land use, what do you mean?
So
the buildings we build, the roads, okay.
Well, yes. And what governs the buildings that we build, what governs what gets to be built in one neighborhood versus what gets to be built in another, what governs how we put transit and access to transit across the city. That's the policy, rules, and regulations that shape the city. Yeah. And to me, I want to be thinking about how we actually shape them to deliver a better city for everyone. And these land use rules and regulations can actually deliver a more affordable city. They can actually deliver a city that's safer for people who are on the roads. It can deliver a city that's easier to get around. But we have to be thinking about using those rules and regulations in that way in order to achieve the vision of the city that we want.
And you actually have experience doing that.
Yes. I mean, I studied it. And now at the city, I've really worked on trying to make sure that we can change the rules and regulations to generate exactly the kinds of things that we need from the urban landscape.
Because you've been on the city council for how many years now?
I've been on the city council now for 5 years and a few months.
Okay. And then you decided to basically, I mean, California politics has been a wild ride.
Yes.
The last week alone has been a wild ride. But pretty much at the very last second, you decided you were going to be that dreamer and leave city council and make a run for the mayor's office.
Yes.
I think this is such a boss move to me. After you already endorsed our incumbent, Karen Bass.
Yes. And that endorsement had come quite a while prior. But, I had been frustrated about the way that things were moving in Los Angeles for a long time. And I don't think I'm the only one. I mean, I feel like we are making very little progress on the big issues that we're dealing with, housing, homelessness, and on the things that I consider basics in a city, streetlights, potholes, sidewalks, all of these things that are, to me, essential services, trash pickup and keeping our streets clean. I feel like we're actually moving backwards. We're actually delivering less of those services than we were before. And the fact that we're delivering less of those services is a direct result of decisions made by our mayor and others on the city council that I push back against. Right. But I think we can do better. We can actually deliver essential services. We can address big things, and I'm excited to do that.
I mean, a lot has been said about the fact that you endorsed Karen Bass and then decided to run. I didn't think it was that serious. I saw all these articles, and I'm just like, honestly, I called a badass move because sometimes this concept, and this is totally not just LA. This is I live very much online, but this concept of digging your heels in the sand. Yeah. And when you say something, that's the law, that's the way that it is forever. And you were actually no, you were innovative. Maybe I'm a better choice. And maybe not. We'll find out. But I didn't think that was a bad thing at all. How did you feel? Did people get mad?
Definitely. I feel like within City Hall, there has been discomfort with my decision because we have a city culture here that really prioritizes not stepping out in front of your britches, not waiting in line for your turn, right? We have a political
LA thing, or is that just a politics thing?
I don't know. I've only ever been involved in politics in LA, right? So here, I think everyone is really focused on waiting your turn, making sure you're not disturbing the peace, making sure you don't run against incumbents. But to me, when things are wrong or when things feel like they're not moving in the right direction, it is our duty as elected representatives to stand up and speak out about how things can get better. And that is what I feel like I'm doing in this run.
I feel like that level of thinking is so antithetical to Los Angeles. We just spent the last 10 minutes talking about how this is the place of big dreams.
Right.
This is the place, like, people move here to get out of the bubbles, and they don't, because they don't want to wait their turn. They want to make something happen for themselves. So the fact that our like politics system here is just not that, is that surprising to me?
Yeah, it's, politics here and City Hall in many ways is very insulated from the rest of what makes LA hum. That's part of what I want to change. I actually want to make—
What do you mean? What do you mean it's so insulated?
I feel like a lot of people don't know who their local elected representatives are. A lot of people don't vote in local elections. A lot of people don't know that there's a mayoral primary coming up on June 2nd. A lot of people don't know that there are real races that can impact outcomes for them on the ground, and then they complain about it when things go wrong. And so I really want to make those connections deeper. For a long time, I feel like people really did not engage with local politics here. City Hall was downtown, and it didn't engage with a lot of the other parts of Los Angeles in the way that we should be.
Well, the traffic's really bad, so maybe that's why. What you just said, I've been preaching for years. Like, yes, obviously vote in literally every election, but I think so many people complain about the president. Well, to be fair, there's a lot of reasons to complain about.
I also complain about the president,
but they think that it's like that concept of trickle down economics, that you vote for the president and it'll trickle down to your community,
right?
And like, we're like you said, the second biggest city in the country, so in some ways that's true, but like across the country, that's so not the case. So you have to vote in your local elections, 100%. And that's where you're going to see the change.
Yes, 100%. And actually, in my first race for city council, the election cycles had changed so that we were overlapping with federal elections for the first time. And to me, that was a huge opportunity. Yeah. I wanted to get out to people and tell them, well, you're voting for president. Guess what? There's another election on your ballot that can matter for you.
Even more.
That can matter for you potentially even more. And that message of local engagement and of a city that can really work for residents, that ended up really resonating with people. I knocked on doors in apartment buildings, and renters voted for the first time in local elections. We actually ended up increasing voter turnout in my district by 5 times.
5 times?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would wear a pin that said that too. That is incredible.
Went to Harvard and increased voter turnout by 5 times.
No, but these are accomplishments. Yes. And like, it's hard to get that message out, especially with like the noise of the entire world.
Right.
If we're being honest. But let's talk about some of the issues here.
Yeah.
To me, and correct me if you have a different idea, but to me, the biggest issue in Los Angeles would be housing. Mm-hmm. It has been, I mean, like I said, it has been a dream of mine for as long as I can remember. And Los Angeles, I feel like I did have to like trade that dream to come out here, pursue a career, be with my friends and my family or whatever, at the expense of having a home. So what can we possibly do?
Yeah.
And I will say, like, I was researching into it. I researched, but also like I've been looking at houses for years now as well. So I know the house prices haven't come down, but I mean, to Karen Bass's credit, I mean, she did do ED1, the directive, that kind of stuff. But in my opinion, didn't do much. Tell me your opinion and then tell me what we can do.
Yeah. So to me, what has been wrong here in the city of Los Angeles is that we have pushed back against housing and the construction of new housing for many, many years.
Why?
This has been starting in the 80s. There was a very active anti-housing movement. It was actually called the anti-Manhattanization effort.
In Los Angeles? That makes zero sense.
Well, this city wanted to be more suburban in its spirit, and people, the people who voted really did not want to see more housing built here. And so they actually put laws and regulations in place that limited density along our major boulevards, along our major roads. So if you've ever wondered why on Wilshire Boulevard there's a lot of single-story strip malls, it's because our planning regulations made it that way. And in order to actually build more housing here, we have to undo those rules and regulations. That's what I meant when I said land use governs so many of the biggest problems that we're dealing with here. And that's why my perspective as an urban planner actually helps me address them in ways that feel more direct than I think they do for many other people who are in the city of Los Angeles.
I'm curious. When all this directive came, what did you say? The
Anti-Manhattanization. Yes.
Manhattanization. I've never heard that term before, but it makes sense.
Yes.
It makes sense. I wonder, because you just said that you increased the voting block of renters. I wonder if it was just the homeowners. If it was it just the NIMBYs in the 80s that kind of had the power?
Homeowners definitely participated more in local politics, and particularly wealthier homeowners. So a lot of voters came from the southern San Fernando Valley, the West Side, and they really had a vision of Los Angeles that they were fighting to preserve, which did not include a lot of density. And so in order to actually lower the cost of housing in this city right now, we have the lowest number of housing units per adult of any major city in America. And as a result, we have the highest rent burden population of any major city in America.
That I know well.
Right? Yes. And so what we need to do is actually increase supply of exactly the kinds of housing that we need. We need multifamily housing. We need apartments. We need apartments that have multiple bedrooms so that families can live here. And we need to build it in places which are near transit and which can generate walkable, beautiful communities that people can really call homes. And I think that's exactly the vision of LA that I want. Unfortunately, right now in LA, we are still fighting housing. So this city, and including our mayor, has actually pushed back against state mandates to build more housing, saying that these are not appropriate for Los Angeles. Well, we're the biggest we're the biggest city in California.
Yeah.
Let's make them into something that's appropriate for Los Angeles. Let's take those rules and mandates to build more housing and tell Sacramento how we want to build it instead of just saying, no, we don't want to build the housing. This city is actually going to court to stop already funded, already approved 100% affordable housing units. We've actually spent millions of dollars now fighting units that have been approved and funded on the West Side and in many, many other places, purely because we want to keep those anti-housing elements happy in this city. And I think right now, in order to address what I think is the biggest issue facing Los Angeles, we have to have courage.
Yeah.
And we have to dream differently for LA. Let's dream of an LA where people can afford to live here. And let's dream of neighborhoods that we're proud of.
Yeah.
Let's dream of building in ways that preserves what we love about Los Angeles, but still allows more Angelinos into the city.
Do you think it's a myth? Because like Zoran Mamdani, have you been getting a lot of comparisons?
I've gotten some, yeah.
You say you're young, you're progressive, charismatic. That's just my opinion.
I'll take it.
The rest is fact.
Yes.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I'll put that on a pin too.
But everybody was saying, please put that on a pin. Well, your lapel is going to be
huge,
very stacked.
Yes.
But one of the biggest criticisms of him becoming the mayor of the biggest city is that the billionaires will leave. That is not happened. In fact, they have reinvested into New York City after a long time. We can see that here in California as well. Not on an election, but a few years ago, they raised the prices, or excuse me, they raised the minimum wage for fast food workers, and everybody said, the burgers are going to be so expensive, the businesses will pull out, and now we have years later, and that is not the case.
That's right.
So I mean, with all this data, you're trying to protect. When you say you're trying to protect the homeowners, in my mind, that's wealthy people because they're the only ones who can have them, So, but why? Why, when we've seen over and over again, they're not going to leave? And if they do, one more house for me.
Yeah.
And that I can't afford.
Look, people don't like change.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and
fair.
people are uncomfortable with change. And I understand that. I actually think that we can bring people on board to this vision of LA if we engage with them, if we really sell it to them. And I think, to me, the vision that I have is beautiful. I think it could be one where you have neighborhoods that are walkable, neighborhoods that have real neighborhood life, neighborhoods that have things like gentle density.
What does that mean?
Gentle density is like two-story duplexes, triplexes in places that don't feel overwhelmingly large, that aren't necessarily high-rise construction, but that can add more housing into neighborhoods that need it.
Yeah.
And again, that kind of housing can be really beautiful, and it can be really walkable, and it can generate neighborhood life that feels engaging, that feels, alive in ways that some of our neighborhoods right now in LA don't feel. And I think that vision of growth can actually bring people on board with it.
If you're not watching this on YouTube or the video, like the way that you just came alive talking about building housing is honestly super, super refreshing. I do want to play a video for you. This was back when she was running initially in 2022.
And the way we deal with affordability is to increase the supply. But yes, I think there are regulations that need to change, but I also think the process needs to change. So one of the things that I would do immediately for anybody that wants to come and build housing specifically for the homeless population or affordable housing, I would say, one, you don't need to go to the front of the line. We need to have a completely separate line for you. We need to centralize the process with all of the various departments so that you don't have to run around to 10 and 15 places. That will allow people to build quicker, and if you can build faster, it's cheaper.
I mean, that technically makes sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, they did remove some of the red tape.
Yeah.
However, when I dug into it, housing prices have still continued to go up,
right,
since she was elected,
right,
since the executive order came down, the executive directive. And then also, despite the fact that, sure, they removed the red tapes and the permits have been permitted, nothing has been built. Not very little
has been built.
Yeah. So how would you do it differently? Because sure, we quote unquote tried.
Yeah.
Seems to me like this is a much more systemic issue than just removing the red tape.
So I think we do need to remove red tape, not just for affordable housing. We need to remove it for all kinds of housing, because the reality is most of the people who are struggling with the housing crisis here will never qualify for affordable housing. They make too much money for it. And so I think about people who are public servants, people who are teachers, people who are working at nonprofits, people who are working in fast food. Many of them actually may make too much money to ever qualify for affordable housing because there's income restrictions there.
Correct.
And so I think we need to actually think about removing red tape for all housing construction. Why are we standing in the way of something that we know we need? We all agree there is a housing shortage. Why is the city slowing it down? We have
Why? But why is that? Is it again the same like politics of wait your turn? Do they own homes they don't want to, not in their backyard situation?
We have a culture at City Hall that needs to change. Right now, the culture of City Hall is one that prioritizes denial and delay. We need to change it to a culture of yes that is rewarded for saying yes.
Yeah.
We have to make bureaucracy into something that opens its arms to new change and new housing in a way that we just haven't before. And that takes culture shifts. That takes not just creating a new line, but actually transforming the very way in which business gets done here in the city of Los Angeles. And that's the vision that I have for it.
You know, housing is not just an issue in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
We have unique challenges here in this big city, but we have a housing shortage across the entire country. Trump kind of said the quiet part out loud recently. And he said, why would I want to build more houses? He said it really derogatory, actually. He goes, why do I want to build more houses? Because the people who own houses, that'll drop their property values. Yes. And then he said, and those people work harder than the other.
Wow.
Did you not see this clip?
No.
Oh, I'll have to send it to you. I don't have that one keyed up. But I agree with half of what he said. I do think that is the part that like a lot of the country, and especially in Los Angeles, does not want to reckon with, is like when you build more houses and when you say, I will bring down the price of houses, people who already own houses flip out. And for good reason. I have so many of my friends, this isn't just a Los Angeles thing. So many of my liberal friends who have bought houses have become kind of the NIMBY people, because they're all middle class. And we were taught for so many generations, like owning a home was the ticket to like your financial freedom.
Of course.
And so I can't even blame the people. I can't even blame the sentiment of Donald Trump who says, why would I want to bring down the cost? The other part though, that's a whole different situation.
And
how do you balance that though?
Well, I want to talk about two different kinds of housing here. One is rental housing and housing and condos. Like these are not your single family homes, which a lot of people have invested in and are, I think, worried about the property values of. When you invest more in multifamily housing, it actually usually brings up the cost of housing around it. It doesn't lower it. So it's actually good for a neighborhood to allow for more density. It's actually good for there to be more demand for housing here and more people coming into the city.
That's fair.
The second thing I will say is that us pushing back against housing here in the city of Los Angeles for so long has led to so many of the issues that are now making Los Angeles a hard place to live. Yeah. The lack of housing, the lack of affordability in our housing is directly driving our homelessness crisis. Now, there's other issues that cause homelessness, mental health challenges, substance use challenges, which are all wrapped up in it. But across the country, affordability and homelessness are tied together. And so for me, if we want to address our homelessness crisis, which is another thing that people talk about when they talk about property values, we do need to build more housing. We have to be able to bring the cost of housing down and make sure that people who want a home can afford a home and can stay housed.
Well, that's a great segue to homelessness, because you came to Los Angeles and you started a nonprofit, and correct me if any of this is incorrect. You started a nonprofit to combat homelessness.
Yeah.
We still have a problem. So not that the whole problem was on your shoulders, but what do you think went well? What do you think can improve? And how would you as mayor work the system to improve?
Yeah. So I think to call it a system right now in response to our homelessness crisis is a misnomer. Fair. And that's exactly what I want to build. I want to build a system that responds to our homelessness crisis. Right now, we have at City Hall investments in a number of interventions in homelessness. We're funding those interventions at a higher level than we did before. But we have nobody in the city that is charged with tracking the performance of those dollars, that is making sure that what we're investing in is actually yielding outcomes that are beneficial for getting as many people indoors as possible. I want to do that work. I want to make sure that everyone who is in our shelter has access to mental health resources. These are the kinds of changes that require oversight, administration, and systems building. I've tried to do that work as much as I can as a council member. For the first time, I delivered on actually getting data about shelter beds. Yeah. And
we didn't even have the data?
No, we didn't know how many there were across the entire city and how many of them were filled on any given night. And thanks to the data that I developed, we're actually now filling many more shelter beds. Now, we used to be at 80% occupancy. We're at 94% occupancy.
Great.
Similarly with permanent supportive housing, we funded those through a new tax that Angelenos paid. Many of those units were vacant, and thanks to my work, we were able to fill them. But we need to do so much more. So what does it look like to actually build a system in response to this crisis that is bringing people indoors, that is making sure that they're getting the help that they need and helping them transition to their next step? That looks very different from what is happening right now.
Which is throw money at the problem.
Throw money at the problem.
The state has done it. The federal government
has
done it.
Yes, and it's all really fragmented.
Yes.
The one thing I want to underscore is that the mayor's office is the place that can convene all of these different investments and that can drive forward that system. They are the ones that have the power and the resources to be able to move it forward. This mayor is not doing it. I want to do it. And I think Angelenos deserve that.
No, I 100% agree. The thing about everything that you're talking about sounds like we need money. But in my research, I want to talk about the LAPD just a tiny bit, but in my research, I pretty much came to the conclusion that we are broke. Well, I don't know what the reference is, but there's a movie reference of are we poor? And it's just been sticking in my head the entire time. Is LA kind of broke?
LA is
I'm broke in a monetary sense, not just a traffic sense.
Right. LA is struggling right now. Yeah. The budget is really, really in bad shape, in part because we signed contracts with groups like the LAPD that we just couldn't afford. We didn't have the money to fund them. And so we are broke right now, but that doesn't mean we have to be broke into the future. Right. And I also think that means that we have to use our existing dollars much better. And so a lot of the work that I want to do, like, for example, making it easier to build new housing, can actually be done with our existing staff, but making sure that they work better, using technology to improve permitting, to speed processes, and making sure that we're building new housing that can actually generate new property taxes and grow our revenue. Similarly with homelessness, we are spending a lot of money on it. I want to make every dollar go further. I'm not saying we need to add to those dollars. What we need to do is actually make sure that we're spending appropriately.
I just don't know why, though, and whose idea, you don't have to name names, but who thought it was a good idea to basically just charge the credit card? And by credit card, that's my tax dollars, you know?
Yes.
So I don't understand. Like, I can't go into a store and buy something I can't afford without there being like repercussions. And I guess there are consequences. It's my burden, not necessarily the people who like decided to go onto this deal. We should probably explain what that was. So essentially, and again, correct me if I get any of the stuff wrong here.
Yeah.
Essentially, there was a contract with the LAPD union.
Yeah.
For how much money?
It was a series of raises over a few years, but it was a series of raises and retention bonuses that we just didn't have the money to pay
which
for.
Honestly, on its surface sounds good. It sounds good. And I hear the word union as a progressive and I'm like, that's great.
Yeah.
However, at Los Angeles, the LAPD already has a ginormous budget.
They are our biggest source, they're our biggest piece of our workforce.
Yes.
And so they do take up an enormous part of our budget. But I think the issue here is not that public servants shouldn't be shouldn't be paid.
Exactly.
The question is, how are we making those determinations on how we pay people and how we pay for anything that we're funding through the city's coffers?
Right.
Are we funding it based on what Angelenos need and what the city can afford, or are we funding it based on who funds local elections? And what is real right now is that the LAPD union, the Police Protective League, puts a lot of money into local elections. And because
they put a lot of money to not get you reelected into the city council.
And they put money against me in my first race. They put money against me in my second race.
I wonder why.
And now they're putting money against me in this run for mayor.
Wow.
Because I've pushed back against what I see as fiscally irresponsible decision-making. Again, we can pay our city workforce appropriately. We should be able to design a system where we have tax dollars and we can pay city workers to do their jobs and have full respect for them. But we should not be making our decisions based on political goals. And that is where I think I really have trouble with the way that the system has been designed so far.
It sounds like everything we talked about, housing, we talked about homelessness, we talked about LAPD and like this kind of stuff. It sounds like the system itself in Los Angeles is broken. I think you've mentioned system in every single one of these things.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that is interesting for me, having been now inside City Hall for the last 5 years, is to really think about how building a better system, building a real system that's responsive to these issues requires courage. It requires standing up against various forces that have historically had a lot of power in the city, whether it's homeowners who may not want more housing and making the case for new housing, whether it's standing up and saying we need to address homelessness, but we have to build a better way of doing it. And so pushing back against bureaucratic intransigence, whether it's thinking about fiscal responsibility and making decisions in ways that really benefit everyone who live in the city. I think that requires a certain sense of urgency and courage to push for a better future that is driven not by my political goals, but really driven by what's best for Los Angeles. And that's what I want to see. That's why I stepped up to run at this moment.
Something else you said too, and then we'll wrap it up. But something else you said that I thought was so fascinating is that you just said, why I stepped up, why I decided to run, why I felt frustrated. And it's just so funny to me, not funny, but just ironic that because mostly when you hear people who run for office, and mostly from men, they say, I felt called or I feel this higher purpose. I think it was Beto O'Rourke out in Texas who was like, I was born to be president. It's always the women who are like, no, we just gotta fix this shit.
Yeah.
Like you just wake up and you're like, just let me do it. Let me do it myself. Do you feel that? It's coming across to me as that right now.
And I will say, I don't have that feeling that I'm the only person who can fix it.
That's good. We have one of those in office right now.
Yeah.
We don't like him.
Yeah, but I do think I bring an understanding of how the city works and I bring a work ethic to this role that I think is missing right now. And that is really why I'm here, is because I want to serve. I don't have political ambitions beyond this. This is really, I want to serve the city and I want to serve Angelenos. And if I'm lucky enough to do it, I will work my hardest. I will work my absolute hardest for this city and for its residents.
Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I think that's it.
Wait, what are you binging right now? I just need to know. I need to know what, because like I cannot relax for 5 seconds and you're in the middle of an election. So whatever you are watching, I kind of want to watch.
Well, I've just been rewatching old stuff because I can't engage with anything new. Although I did watch the new season of Bridgerton, which was great.
Oh, it was good.
Yeah,
wasn't
it was fun.
It?
It was really fun.
And then I had to go back and rewatch the entire series.
Yes, there we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Thank you for having me.
joining
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.